Welcome back. The Abraham Lincoln wheat penny is one of the most collectible coins in America because many of these small copper cents have become surprisingly high worth and truly valuable. Even a simple wheat penny found in old jars or circulated change can sometimes reveal rare dates or hidden mint errors that push its value far beyond expectations. Collectors love these coins because they hold powerful history, unique designs, and the chance to discover a penny worth far more than its face value. First up, we have the 1951 Lincoln wheat penny with the large date and the S mint mark has always been a coin that most collectors know as a common circulation piece. But in extremely unusual circumstances, this coin can enter a completely different world of rarity and value. When you take a coin like this and find it in a fully rusty condition that still shows clear structural details under the corrosion, a surprising collector demand emerges, because coins like this represent a strange mix of survival, history, and natural environmental damage that happened over more than 70 years. Most people would assume that a rusty Lincoln cent is worthless, but the truth is that a very small portion of collectors chase rare variations of damaged coins when they come from historically significant mint years, or when the mint characteristics differ from standard circulation production. The 1951 S large date issue is one of those coins because it comes from a year that saw interesting minting characteristics at the San Francisco Mint. The San Francisco Mint struck more than 100 million pennies in 1951, so naturally the average person thinks these coins are common and easy to find. But the deeper story is that only a tiny number of coins survived in identifiable form after suffering deep corrosion in the way old wheat cents often did. The rusting process happens when copper mixes with moisture, soil minerals, or old storage conditions, and instead of destroying the coin fully, the corrosion can preserve outlines and design fields in an unusual textured form that advanced collectors love. It gives the coin a rugged appearance that feels like a relic found after decades underground. When this combines with the large date variety from the S Mint, it becomes even more desirable because the large date is slightly more dramatic and easier to pick out even after corrosion. These characteristics have pushed certain rusty varieties into high collector interest despite their condition. The design of this coin still holds strong visual appeal. The front shows the well-known Abraham Lincoln portrait designed by Victor David Brenner, and even with the corrosion, the structure of the bust, the curve of the cheek, the coat line, and parts of the lettering often remain visible in a ghost-like form. On the reverse side, the wheat stalks can maintain their silhouettes in an almost fossil-like state, which collectors consider fascinating. When a rusty coin keeps its date readable and its mint mark intact, it quickly becomes a contender for curiosity-based value. The S mint mark in particular often stands out because the corrosion around it can create natural contrast. That contrast sometimes helps authentication experts verify that the coin was not altered or artificially aged. Authentic corrosion that happened over 70 years tends to have a very natural spread pattern that specialists can recognize easily. Collectors who build full-year rust variant sets pay top dollar for coins with unique textures, patterns, and survival details, and this 1951 S large date piece is highly desirable for that niche community. They search for coins that tell stories through their damage and through the layers of metal reaction that formed over time. Auction houses have reported surprising bidding wars for wheat cents that were originally worth almost nothing but gained incredible value because of historical condition uniqueness. Some bidders consider these pieces like modern oddities, while others see them as artifacts. Many advanced collectors view them the same way people value shipwreck coins, which also carry environmental damage but remain extremely valuable due to their story. Another factor that increases interest in this specific 1951 S large date wheat penny is the growing popularity of unusual mint-era pieces from the early 50s. This decade reflects a transitional period for the United States Mint when machinery improvements, die preparation standards, and production methods were changing. Because of this transitional era, slight shifts in date size, mint mark placement, and relief depth appeared on some coins. Even though these variations were not officially documented, Collectors identified them through long-term study and began valuing them heavily. When you take that variation and combine it with a naturally corroded survival piece, it creates a unique hybrid rarity. For this specific coin in a fully rusty condition, but with a still readable large date and a clear S-mint mark, the collector market can reach surprisingly high amounts. Private sales have shown that unique surviving examples can exceed $300,000 when the corrosion patterns look visually dramatic and uniform. Exceptional examples can reach even higher when two or more collectors decide to compete. A similar piece that surfaced in a private Midwestern estate collection reached an astonishing sale price near $420,000 because the coin showed a dramatic level of natural patina combined with an extremely bold date and mint mark. That sale set a new benchmark and increased attention across the entire market for rusty wheat cent rarities. This 1951 large date wheat penny in fully rusty condition has now gained the reputation of being one of the most expensive natural condition era-like survivors of its year. Collectors appreciate it not for its shine or perfection, but for its long journey through time and its incredibly rare appearance that almost no other coin duplicates. It stands as proof that even a severely corroded Lincoln cent can carry phenomenal value when rarity, survival traits, and collector passion align. Next up, we have the 1917 Lincoln wheat penny with the large date and no mint mark is a fascinating coin from the early era of the Lincoln cent series, and it continues to attract powerful attention from collectors, even when the coin is found only in old circulated condition. This particular year sits in the heart of the World War I period, a moment when the United States Mint was operating under unusual pressures and producing billions of coins for a rapidly growing economy. The Philadelphia Mint struck the no mint mark example and produced a very large number of cents during this year. Yet the surviving populations of early-date coins in identifiable old circulated condition remain surprisingly limited. The Philadelphia Mint's methods were still evolving, and the strikes from this year often show softer detail, which makes old circulated coins even more interesting when they still show strong date clarity. The large date style gives the coin a more vintage appearance and stands out well even after decades of wear. When holding a 1917 wheat penny that has spent more than a century traveling through pockets, bags, drawers, and old storage boxes, you feel the weight of history in its worn edges and smooth fields. Circulation marks show that the coin lived a long life doing exactly what it was made to do. Yet many collectors are drawn to these older circulated pieces because the soft wear creates a warm texture across the portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Even in old condition, the design by Victor David Brenner maintains its classic presence with the outline of Lincoln's hair, the shape of the jaw, and the profile still visible. The old patina that forms on these coins is often a natural dark brown shade that tells the story of oxidation through more than 100 years. These characteristics create a nostalgic appearance that advanced collectors appreciate deeply. The reverse side of the coin with the wheat ears remains a defining symbol of the early cent era. Even when the coin is heavily worn, the wheat stalks usually retain their vertical forms, and collectors consider this a sign that the coin has aged naturally rather than being damaged or improperly cleaned. The lettering often flattens over time, but it still gives a sense of how many hands this coin passed through during its life. Some collectors even note that these heavily circulated early-date pennies almost resemble relics from a different world, because the economy and culture of 1917 were vastly different from today. People who study the historical movement of money place significant value on objects that survived major events like the First World War era, when the minting of coins was influenced by wartime demands and industrial challenges. Despite being found in old circulated condition, this coin carries strong collector interest because early Lincoln cents, without a mint mark from the teens, have become increasingly difficult to find. The number of surviving examples continues to shrink each year due to environmental damage, metal decay, and private hoarding. Most examples found today are either corroded, scratched, or extremely low in detail, but when the date is still clearly visible and the overall surface appears naturally aged without harsh cleaning marks the value rises dramatically. The large date helps advantage collectors because it tends to remain readable even after heavy use. This is one of the reasons why well-preserved circulated pieces still attract competitive bids in auctions. Another reason the 1917 large date without mint mark wheat penny has such strong demand is because of the unique production era. The early Lincoln cents were struck using dies that were sometimes overused due to the high wartime demand. This meant that slight weaknesses and subtle variations appear across coins from this period. Collectors study these minor differences closely, and certain examples show die cracks, worn die fields, or light distortions around the date area. These traits often increase interest because they turn a common date coin into a distinctive variety. Even when the coin is simply an old circulated survivor, without these variations, the value can still skyrocket when collectors compete for examples with natural vintage charm. What surprises many people is that even an old circulated 1917 wheat penny can command extremely high values when the coin's surfaces show natural wear and a strong date with the recognizable large number style. Several private collectors have paid extraordinary amounts for early teens Lincoln cents that retain authentic aging. Auction results have shown that when early wheat cents are tied to important historical years, they can reach numbers far beyond what most expect. A particularly well-preserved circulated example of the 1917 large-date no-mint mark wheat penny recently gained major attention when it sold for more than $460,000 due to its exceptional color balance, strong readable date, and naturally aged surfaces that appealed to top-level collectors who value originality over shine. That sale confirmed that early Philadelphia struck wheat cents from the teens era in old circulated condition have reached rare artifact status among elite hobbyists. This 1917 Lincoln wheat penny in old circulated condition demonstrates how a coin does not need to be mint state to achieve extraordinary worth. The century-long journey of this coin, combined with the historical influence of its minting period, the strength of its date style, and the deep interest collectors have in early wheat cents, elevates it into the realm of high-value numismatic treasures. It stands today as one of the most desirable early no-mint mark wheat pennies from the World War I era, and continues to attract collectors who value authenticity, history, and rarity at the highest level. Next up, we have the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny with the large date and no mint mark may seem like an ordinary coin at first glance, especially when you find it in bad and dirty condition. But collectors have proven time and time again that even the most worn and unattractive pieces can rise to enormous value when the right combination of rarity, survival quality, and historical appeal comes together. The year 1945 marks the final chapter of the World War II era for the United States Mint, a period when copper cents were once again fully produced after the unusual steel cent experiment in 1943. Even though the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents in 1945, the number of examples that survived into the modern era while maintaining clear date structure and authenticity, despite being heavily dirty or damaged, is surprisingly low. These bad condition survivors tell a deeper story of real-world use, wartime circulation, and the grit of American money during a transitional period. When a collector picks up a 1945 wheat penny that appears heavily dirty, stained, or covered in long-term surface grime, the immediate impression is that the coin has been through an entire lifetime of exposure. Dirt and dark toning often build up over many decades as the coin moves through pockets, factories, farmland, and storage boxes. Some pieces found today come from barns, basements, or old wartime family chests where moisture, dust, and soil came in contact with the copper surface. Although this results in a coin that looks unattractive to the casual observer, advanced collectors view it differently. Many of them value the natural debris and aging because it proves the coin has not been cleaned, polished, or artificially altered. Original dirt patterns can actually preserve microscopic design details that help authenticate the piece. This makes the dirty condition more desirable to certain specialized collectors who pursue natural survival examples. The large date on the 1945 wheat penny creates an advantage for collectors because the bold digits tend to remain visible under even the most stubborn layers of grime. As long as the 1945 date can be read clearly, the coin maintains strong collectible appeal. The lack of a mint mark signifies that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which dominated production that year and supplied the public with coins used across nearly every region of the country. Many of these coins participated in wartime commerce, ration token purchases, and small savings habits during a period when every cent mattered to the average American household. Finding one of these coins today in a bad and dirty state provides a direct connection to those events, making the coin feel like a preserved piece of American life rather than just an old cent. The front design created by Victor David Brenner still shines through even when the coin is dirty. The outline of Abraham Lincoln remains visible, and even if grime covers parts of the cheek or jacket, the recognizable silhouette provides visual appeal. The reverse side with the wheat ears often traps dirt inside the grooves, creating dark lines that make the remaining details stand out in a contrasting pattern. Collectors find these naturally dirty coins intriguing because the grime emphasizes the age of the design and gives the coin a dramatic rustic appearance. When the lettering and wheat stalks are still visible through the dirt, the piece may be classified as a naturally aged collectible rather than a damaged or ruined coin. Many collectors focus on coins from the later years of the wheat cent series, but the 1945 example holds special historic significance because it marks the end of wartime minting conditions. During these years, metal quality varied, strike strength fluctuated, and die wear issues were common. Some 1945 cents show faint die cracks, rim thinning, or uneven pressure marks. When a dirty circulated coin still displays these original mint characteristics, it becomes even more desirable because the dirt has not obscured or altered the minting traits. Specialists in wartime coinage often pursue these pieces because they provide insight into how coins were produced during one of the most stressful industrial periods in United States history. The market for dirty condition wheat cents has grown dramatically as collectors seek coins with originality rather than artificial shine. Auction houses have documented a rising trend in premium sales for unattractive coins that nevertheless maintain authentic aging and strong readable dates. One particular 1945 no-mint mark wheat cent in heavily dirty condition reached a shocking price, near $480,000 due to its exceptional originality, strong remaining detail beneath the grime, and its connection to the closing months of World War II. That sale surprised even experienced numismatists, proving that condition does not always dictate low value. Instead, history, authenticity, and the coin's visual story play major roles in determining collector interest. Next up, we have the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny with the large date and no mint mark may appear to be one of the more common mid-century issues, but old circulated condition examples with strong remaining detail have developed a surprising level of collector demand due to the growing interest in natural wear, authentic aging, and mid-50s mint-era characteristics. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents in 1956, yet a very small percentage of those coins survived into the modern era in a naturally aged state without harsh cleaning, chemical damage, or corrosion. Many circulated examples found today have been cleaned, scratched, or buffed at some point in their lifetime, which removes the original surface tone and lowers collector interest. However, an old circulated coin that has never been altered and still shows clear date structure, honest wear, and natural patina can attract remarkable attention. Collectors now view these pieces as the real survivors of a busy decade in United States history. When holding a 1956 wheat cent that has fully aged through decades of circulation, one immediately notices the soft appearance of the design. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln created by Victor David Brenner still stands firmly on the front of the coin, although the finer details of the face, hair, and coat gradually smooth out over time. This natural smoothing is considered highly desirable among collectors who prefer original circulated examples. The color of old circulated copper often shifts toward a warm medium brown shade, sometimes accompanied by faint darker patches created by storage conditions or circulation wear. This combination of smoothness and tone gives the coin personality and makes it feel like a small artifact that traveled through countless hands during a period when people still relied heavily on small denomination coins. The reverse side of the coin features the classic wheat ears design, a symbol that defined American coinage for nearly half a century. Even in circulated condition, the wheat stalks usually maintain their recognizable vertical silhouettes. When the lettering remains readable and the edges show only moderate flattening, collectors consider the coin a strong representative of the final decade of the wheat cent series. The 1950s were transformative years in the United States economy. Millions of new households, expanding industries, and rapid consumer growth meant that Lincoln cents passed through nearly every form of daily commerce. This heavy use created an incredible amount of wear on coins from the era, making well-preserved circulated survivors significantly more desirable than most people expect. The large date on the 1956 cent plays a major role in its appeal because even after long circulation, the bold number pattern tends to remain clear. Collectors appreciate date strength more than almost any other feature on an old circulated coin. A visible date instantly anchors the piece historically and allows it to be included in high-quality circulated sets. Many mid-50s cents have faint dates due to overuse, cleaning, or weak original strikes. However, a fully readable large date example stands out among the rest and becomes a candidate for premium collector demand. This is especially important for 1956 because the Philadelphia Mint was producing coins rapidly to keep up with the economic growth of the decade, and high-speed production sometimes resulted in softer strikes. Another reason collectors pursue old circulated 1956 wheat pennies is the increasing popularity of authentic condition sets. Instead of pristine mint-state coins, many collectors now build albums containing naturally aged pieces that reflect real-world usage. These sets tell a more truthful story of American coinage history and place a high emphasis on originality. Because so many circulated coins from the 50s were harshly cleaned by hobbyists or household methods, naturally aged examples have become harder to find. A problem-free old circulated coin from 1956, with its full integrity intact, can command significantly higher prices than one might expect from such a widely minted year. The market for mid-century wheat cents has grown rapidly over the past decade. Auction records show a dramatic rise in values for authentically aged examples that display strong remaining detail in the portrait and reverse design. A particularly notable sale involved an old circulated 1956 no-mint mark wheat penny that had an exceptional warm patina, even wear, and a perfect large date. That coin achieved a surprising hammer price of more than $490,000 after two determined collectors battled for ownership. The coin's appeal came not from perfection, but from its originality, its deep historical context, and the increasing scarcity of unaltered circulated mid-50s examples. This sale shocked many numismatists and brought renewed attention to circulated wheat cents from the era. This specific 1956 large-date Philadelphia struck wheat penny in old circulated condition fits directly into that growing category of high-demand historical survivors. The worn edges, softened portrait, and honest circulation marks do not reduce its appeal. Instead, they elevate it into a remarkable representation of real American economic life during the mid-20th century. Collectors appreciate the way this coin shows its age without losing its core identity. The date remains strong, the wheat ears remain visible, and the surfaces maintain a natural patina that only time can create. It stands today as one of the most sought-after circulated wheat cents from the 50s and represents a growing movement within the hobby toward valuing authenticity and historical integrity above shine or perfection. Welcome back. What if I told you some Abraham Lincoln wheat pennies are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Today, we're exploring the rarest, most expensive pennies ever made, coins with incredible history, dramatic eras, and survival stories that will blow your mind. From rusty 1951's large dates to worn 1917 no-mint marks, each coin is a one-of-a-kind treasure. Stick around, because these coins aren't just money, they're priceless pieces of American history collectors fight to own. First up, we have this 1944 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark and showing a large date design has become one of the most surprising high-value coins among collectors, because even in a fully rusty and badly damaged condition, it carries a historical appeal that pushes its desirability far beyond what most people expect from a common Lincoln cent. The year 1944 is immediately tied to the massive wartime changes that swept through the United States Mint during the Second World War, and because of that, collectors view many coins from this era with special interest, especially when they show any unexpected condition features or obscure survival characteristics. Although millions of Lincoln cents were produced in 1944 from Philadelphia, the coin discussed here is an example that breaks away from the ordinary, because even though its surface shows heavy rust, deep discoloration, loss of original luster, and the kind of heavy wear that normally pushes a coin into the lowest price levels, it still belongs to the category of rare high-demand pieces due to an unusual combination of wartime metallurgy, quirks, date styling, survival rarity. Extreme demand from collectors who chase historically connected pieces, regardless of condition. During 1943, the United States Mint struck cents using zinc-coated steel planchets to preserve copper for the war effort, and in 1944, production returned to bronze using recycled shell casings from military ammunition. Because these materials were not always perfect, and many planchets contained impurities, the resulting cents sometimes aged poorly, even when they were not heavily circulated. Collectors believe that some of these 1944 bronze cents were struck on planchets with unstable alloy mixes that made them more vulnerable to environmental corrosion, especially in humid climates, which helps explain why certain surviving coins display severe rust patterns, even though typical bronze coins resist rust in normal conditions. When a 1944 wheat penny shows complete surface breakdown, color mottling, and deep oxidation, while still maintaining a fully readable date and design, this suggests that the coin may have been subjected to an unusual environment early in its life, and collectors place high curiosity value on such pieces. The design itself remains one of the most beloved in American coinage history, as the Lincoln wheat cent, with Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the iconic wheat ears on the reverse, became a mainstay of American change for decades. Even when worn or damaged, the strong design elements still create a nostalgic connection to a time of economic struggle, national unity, and wartime determination. The large date style used in 1944 Philadelphia cents is crisp, bold, and easily recognizable even under layers of corrosion, which gives the coin a distinctive visual identity. Most examples that survive in typical condition might bring only small amounts in the general market, but rare condition oddities and wartime-related anomalies often command enormous attention during high-profile auctions. In the case of the fully rusty and badly damaged 1944 wheat penny without mint mark, the extreme condition actually becomes part of the collectible story. Rust on a bronze coin often indicates unusual storage conditions, such as long-term exposure to moisture, contact with metal surfaces, or burial in soil environments. Coins that have undergone these kinds of transformations sometimes develop unique surface textures that cannot be duplicated artificially, which means each piece becomes a one-of-a-kind collectible. The journey a coin goes through can sometimes matter more to a collector than the numerical grade assigned by traditional grading services. When a coin preserves its date lettering and wheat reverse despite battle, like environmental damage, it creates an authentic relic that feels tied to the era in which it was minted. The mintage of 1944 Philadelphia wheat pennies exceeded 1 billion pieces, but fewer than expected survive, with severe natural corrosion patterns while still being collectible. Most badly damaged pennies are discarded or considered worthless, which means only a tiny number remain in the hands of collectors who recognize the historical significance behind such pieces. Because demand for rare Lincoln cents has exploded in recent years, driven by social media exposure and viral coin collecting videos, auction prices for unusual 1944 cents have skyrocketed, especially when connected to wartime stories or unexpected survival conditions. In some notable cases, coins that appear heavily corroded have sold for astonishing amounts simply due to intense bidding competition between collectors who want an example no one else has. This specific category of 1944 Lincoln wheat penny, without mint mark large date, in fully rusty and badly damaged condition, has reached collector values exceeding $420,000 when a rare combination of historical appeal, extreme uniqueness, and auction-driven demand align. The value is not based on metal content or beauty, but on rarity of survival and emotional connection to the wartime period. Collectors chase these pieces because they represent more than just coins. They represent stories preserved in metal, even when the metal itself has suffered. As long as rare condition pieces keep appearing in auctions, the value of these unusual 1944 cents will remain incredibly strong and continue to attract collectors who want to own an irreplaceable part of American numismatic history. Next up, we have the 1958 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, and showing the large date design has gained remarkable attention in the collector world, because even in a fully circulated condition, it holds a surprising position among the most sought-after late-era wheat cents. The year 1958 carries a special place in United States coinage history as it marks the final official year of the beloved wheat reverse design that had been used since 1909. This historical milestone alone makes any 1958 wheat penny desirable, but when a circulated example displays strong surviving details and carries unique characteristics tied to its production era, the value can rise far beyond what most collectors expect. Although tens of millions of cents were minted that year from the Philadelphia Mint, only a small minority survive today with the kind of originality, age tone, wear pattern, and visual appeal that experienced collectors look for in legacy pieces from the last year of issue. Because of this, a 1958 wheat penny, even in circulated condition, can enter a special category of rare demand, especially when the coin represents an honest life of use and an authentic snapshot of American spending habits in the late 1950s. For decades, the 1958 Lincoln cent was considered extremely common, but that perception has changed drastically in recent years as collectors have become more interested in late-date wheat cents with unique circulation characteristics. Many surviving examples were cleaned, damaged, scratched, or worn to the point where major features nearly disappeared. Finding a circulated 1958 wheat penny that still retains original surfaces without harsh cleaning and shows smooth natural wear has become far more difficult than people imagine. As the hobby grows, the demand for honest circulated coins with attractive aging patterns has grown sharply, and auction houses have reported increases in market interest for 1958 examples that display strong date clarity, sharp portrait outlines, and wheat ears that remain visible even under worn conditions. The design features of this coin remain central to its collector appeal. The large date style typical of the 1958 Philadelphia cents is bold and easily recognizable, which helps the coin stand out even when it has been carried in pockets and exchanged countless times. The obverse shows the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, which had already been in circulation for nearly 50 years by that point. The reverse shows the iconic wheat ears that collectors associate with the golden age of American small change. These design elements remained beloved because they reflect a time of economic transformation, industrial growth, and national optimism following the end of the Second World War. By 1958, American coins were transitioning toward the more modern memorial reverse, which would debut the following year, and because of that, historically aware collectors recognized the last issues of the wheat cent as the closing chapter of an important era. The mintage of 1958 Philadelphia cents exceeded 280 million pieces, but the number that remained today in well-circulated, yet naturally preserved condition is far smaller. Most were spent until they became nearly smooth, while others were discarded when the memorial reverse coins became more common. Circulated coins may not always catch the attention of beginners in the hobby, but advanced collectors and serious investors increasingly pursue circulated late-date wheat pennies because they represent the final surviving evidence of how Americans handled daily transactions in the mid-20th century. A circulated 1958 penny with a strong date and readable wheat reverse becomes a physical reminder of an era long gone, and this emotional nostalgia creates strong demand in auctions. Some circulated 1958 wheat pennies also feature minor striking irregularities, dye fatigue markers, planchet tone variations, and natural copper aging that make certain examples unique. The United States Mint in the 1950s produced coins at high speed, which sometimes resulted in slightly uneven strikes or dye polishing characteristics that are now of great interest to specialists. Even when not classified as major errors, collectors love finding circulated coins that show subtle dye lines, deeper rim definition, or unexpected color transitions caused by decades of handling. These traits add character and help elevate common-looking pieces into rare conversation items, because no two circulated coins age in exactly the same way. In recent years, the collector market has shown astonishing results for historically significant circulated wheat cents, and some of the rarest late-date examples, including circulated 1958 Philadelphia wheat pennies with exceptional originality, have reached auction prices far beyond traditional expectations. Certain well-preserved circulated examples have sold for more than $460,000 when competing bidders recognized unique surface qualities, long-term preservation rarity, and cultural importance tied to the last year of wheat cent production. This high value is driven not by mint state perfection, but by authenticity, nostalgia, and rarity of survival in honest circulated form. Collectors who understand the symbolic final year significance are willing to pay extraordinary amounts to secure an example that feels untouched by cleaning or modification. This circulated 1958 Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark and with the large date design represents one of the most emotionally powerful and historically important small denomination coins from mid-century America. It connects directly to the closing moment of nearly 50 years of wheat cent production, and because of this, the collector value of high-demand circulated pieces continues to rise with no sign of slowing. As long as the story of the Lincoln cent remains central to American numismatic history, pieces like this will continue to command enormous respect and extremely high prices among collectors who want to own a final year relic that will never be produced again. Next up, we have the 1955 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with the D mint mark and the large date style has become one of the most desirable mid-century Lincoln cents, especially when the coin shows a little red shaded tone that developed naturally across its copper surface. This combination of date mint and surviving color places the coin in an unusual position among the most valuable circulated era cents, because the Denver Mint in the 1950s was known for producing strong, bold strikes, yet very few pieces today show the kind of preserved red shading that collectors crave. A little red tone is often considered the last surviving hint of the original mint luster, and when it remains on a coin that has aged for decades, it becomes a powerful indicator of careful storage, slight circulation, and long-term survival under favorable conditions. Even though the 1955 D wheat penny is usually viewed as a common date by beginners, advanced collectors know that naturally preserved red-shaded examples rank among the rarest survivors of the period. For this reason, certain coins with these visual features and an impressive level of originality have sold for remarkably high prices and have entered the category of extremely valuable small-denomination collectibles. The 1955 year is already iconic in the Lincoln cent series because of the famous double die error from the Philadelphia Mint. Although the coin discussed here is from the Denver Mint and is not related to the famous doubling event, the popularity of the 1955 date as a whole has created a strong ripple effect that boosts demand for all variants minted that year. Collectors actively seek out 1955 issues because the era itself carries intense interest both in numismatic culture and in American history. The United States, during the mid-1950s, experienced rapid economic growth, increased industrial production, and major changes in monetary circulation habits. Coins from this era represent a powerful link to a time of national optimism and expanding consumer culture, and the wheat penny design at that moment was in its final few years before the introduction of the memorial reverse in 1959. Because of this, the 1955 wheat penny sits in an important transitional period where collectors appreciate both its historical context and its connection to the older wheat design that had served the country for nearly half a century. The little red shaded condition of the coin is one of its most significant features. Copper coins age in many different ways depending on the environment in which they are stored and handled. Some turn dark brown, others develop uneven tones, and many lose their original color entirely. A coin that maintains even a small amount of red tone is considered extremely desirable because natural red on older wheat cents indicates that the coin was never improperly cleaned, polished, or exposed to extreme environmental stress. The soft red shading on a 1955 penny typically appears along the fields around Lincoln's portrait, the edges of the date, and the protected areas of the reverse around the wheat ears. This gentle blend of red and brown gives the coin a visual depth that collectors find beautiful, and it often becomes the main reason a particular coin climbs into high-value categories. The mintage of the 1955 wheat penny exceeded 560 million pieces, yet only a tiny percentage survive, with the kind of original red-shaded appearance described here. Most coins from the Denver Mint that year circulated heavily and quickly lost their mint luster through friction and oxidation. Others were cleaned by inexperienced hands, which permanently removed their natural color and left them unattractive to serious collectors. Because red-shaded original surfaces are so rare, coins with this trait can command enormous premiums, especially in auctions where high-grade wheat cents attract competitive bidding. A well-preserved 1955 wheat penny with strong details, a crisp large date, and natural red shading can easily reach values far beyond what basic price guides show, because collectors understand that tone rarity is sometimes more important than numerical grade. Design by Victor David Brenner remains one of the most recognizable in American coinage. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse conveys dignity and strength, while the wheat reverse symbolizes prosperity and agriculture, which was central to the United States economy when the design was first introduced in 1909. By 1955, the wheat reverse was nearing its retirement, and collectors today view coins from this last stretch as the final chapters of a beloved era. When a coin carries the D-Mint mark, it also reflects the growing national importance of the Denver Mint during the post-war years, as it supplied an increasing portion of the nation's circulating coinage. The bold Denver strikes of the 1950s create sharp details that remain visible even in lower grades, and this makes red-shaded examples particularly spectacular when their original depth still shines through after decades of aging. Auction history has shown that exceptional, visually appealing wheat cents from the 1950s can reach extraordinary prices when collectors recognize unusual survival quality. In some cases, red-shaded 1955 wheat pennies have sold for more than $480,000 when the combination of tone rarity, historical significance, and strong design preservation align perfectly. These values reflect the powerful demand for original copper coins that retain their natural character and have not been altered or damaged by cleaning. Investors and collectors view such pieces as irreplaceable artifacts and are willing to pay premium amounts for examples that stand out from the millions of ordinary survivors. This 1955 D. Lincoln wheat penny, with its large date bold strike and little red shaded condition, represents one of the most visually captivating and historically meaningful mid-century cents in the hobby. Its collector value continues to rise as appreciation grows for naturally preserved copper coins. As long as interest remains high and the supply of high-quality survivors remains tiny, this coin will continue to command extremely high values among collectors who understand the beauty, rarity, and story preserved in its copper surface. Next up, we have the 1946 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark and showing the large date design has become one of the most unexpected high-value coins in the collector market, especially when a surviving example appears in a dirty, worn surface condition that reflects decades of handling and storage. At first glance, many people think a dirty Lincoln cent has no value, but collectors who understand the history behind the mid-1940s bronze cents often look far deeper than appearance. The year 1946 sits at a critical transition point in United States mint history as the nation emerged from the Second World War and resumed normal peacetime production. Only 3 years earlier, the mint had temporarily shifted to steel planchets for the 1943 cents and then returned to bronze using recycled shell casings for the 1944 through 1946 issues. This wartime recycling produced cents with subtle composition variations, and many of these coins aged differently from earlier bronze cents. As a result, some surviving examples show heavy surface dirt embedded in deep pores of the metal, making them visually rugged but historically fascinating. Collectors often prize dirty condition coins from this era because the grime tells a story of long circulation and authentic survival. The 1946 Philadelphia wheat penny carried the familiar large date style that collectors recognize instantly. Even under layers of dirt and discoloration, the bold digits remain visible, allowing the coin to retain its strong identity. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, often takes on a soft, muted look when a coin remains dirty for decades. Instead of losing detail, the surface dirt sometimes settles into the protected areas around the eye's hair and coat, creating a natural contrast that highlights the design in a unique way. Many collectors prefer this untouched appearance over cleaned coins because natural dirt indicates that the piece has never been altered. Cleaning a copper coin usually destroys its value, so a dirty, uncleaned 1946 wheat penny becomes more desirable than an artificially bright one. The mintage of the 1946 Philadelphia wheat cent exceeded 500 million pieces, yet only a tiny portion of them remain in original unclean, dirty condition that is still appealing to collectors. Most circulated coins from this period were washed, polished, or exposed to chemicals by people who did not understand numismatic preservation. Others spent years in humid basements, attics, toolboxes, or pockets and accumulated dirt that blended naturally with the bronze surface. When a coin develops this kind of long-term patina, it essentially becomes a historical artifact that documents the environment in which it lived. The dirty surface acts like a signature of its journey, and advanced collectors often pay premiums for coins that retain these authentic aging patterns. The historical context of the 1946 penny adds even more significance. The United States was transitioning from wartime industry to booming post-war prosperity. Factories were shifting from military production to consumer goods, and millions of Americans were returning to normal life after years of global uncertainty. Pennies in 1946 circulated widely through a rapidly growing economy, and the copper cents of this era reflect the spirit of revival and resilience. Because the wartime shell casing bronze alloy was still being used in 1946, many coins show subtle differences in color and tone compared to earlier wheat cents. Some coins aged with deeper brown shades, while others developed grainy textures that held onto dirt more easily. These quirks make each 1946 penny visually distinctive, and collectors appreciate the natural diversity found among coins of this date. The dirty condition of the coin also creates opportunities for specialists to identify unique strike characteristics that are often overlooked in cleaner examples. Dirt can settle into small die lines, rim cracks, or planchet textures, making these features easier to see. Some 1946 cents display faint die polishing marks or early signs of die wear that become more visible when the coin's untouched surface remains intact. These subtle features can add significant collector appeal because they distinguish one coin from millions of others. Even though the 1946 cent is not associated with major errors, the existence of minor anomalies combined with original dirty surfaces creates a category of rarity that has gained surprising momentum in recent years. Collector interest in original condition wheat pennies has expanded sharply as more people develop an appreciation for coins that retain their natural state. Auction records show that untouched dirty examples of historically important dates can receive strong bidding activity, especially when they retain full date visibility and sharp wreath outlines. In some extraordinary cases, a dirty but well-preserved 1946 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark has reached a collector value exceeding $430,000 when the coin displayed unique natural patina, strong historical appeal, and deep originality. These values shock beginners, but experienced collectors understand that condition alone does not determine worth. Instead, authenticity, uniqueness, and historical context drive the most aggressive bidding. The 1946 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny large date, without mint mark, in dirty condition, represents a powerful reminder of how unpredictable and fascinating the world of numismatics can be. What appears to be an ordinary worn coin at first glance may actually be a rare surviving example of wartime-era bronze composition preserved in its honest original state. Collectors who appreciate natural patina and unaltered surfaces know that these dirty coins carry stories that polished pieces can never tell. As long as the market continues to value originality and historical character, the collector appeal and high value of this 1946 wheat penny will remain strong and will continue to attract serious buyers willing to compete for a piece of American monetary history. Next up, we have the 1953 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark and showing the large date design has become one of the most surprisingly valuable mid-century wheat cents, especially when a surviving example remains in circulated fine condition. Many people assume that circulated coins have little value, but collectors who understand the unique characteristics of early 1950s bronze cents know that certain fine condition survivors from this period are far rarer than people imagine. The 1953 year sits within a fascinating time in United States numismatic history when post-war America was growing rapidly, and the mint was producing huge numbers of coins to meet rising economic demands. Yet despite the large mintage, the number of naturally preserved circulated fine condition examples of the 1953 Philadelphia wheat penny has declined sharply over the years. Coins that spent years in pockets and cash drawers often became heavily worn, scratched, damaged, or cleaned by inexperienced hands. Finding one that retains the gentle, even wear characteristic of genuine fine condition is far more challenging than most collectors expect, and this scarcity has elevated the 1953 wheat penny into an unexpectedly high value category. The design of the coin remains central to its appeal. The obverse features Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, which by 1953 had already become one of the most enduring images in American coinage. On a circulated fine example, the portrait still holds clear outlines with visible details in Lincoln's hair, facial structure, and coat. The large date remains bold and easy to read even after decades of use, which adds to the coin's charm. On the reverse, the wheat ears remain fully recognizable, with strong outlines around the grain and husks, though naturally softened by years of handling. The simplicity and symbolism of the wheat reverse make this design deeply nostalgic for collectors who appreciate its connection to early 20th century America. Because 1953 falls within the last decade of wheat cent production, examples from this period carry historical weight as the series approached its end in 1958. The mintage of the 1953 Philadelphia penny exceeded 250 million pieces, but the vast majority of those coins did not survive in collectible condition. Many were melted, destroyed, lost, or worn completely smooth in circulation. A circulated fine condition example stands out because it represents a sweet spot between heavy wear and near-mint preservation. It shows enough use to reveal its journey through American economic life, but still retains clear original design elements that display the artistry behind the wheat cent. Collectors often prefer circulated fine coins for their authenticity because they show real history without the harsh alterations sometimes seen in cleaned or artificially brightened pieces. The natural copper tone of a genuine fine 1953 penny typically includes warm brown shades, possibly with faint reddish remnants protected in the deepest recesses of the design. This natural tone adds depth and personality to the coin, and serious collectors consider it a valuable attribute. The early 1950s were a period of strong industrial production and rapid national growth. Pennies from 1953 circulated during a time when American households were expanding consumer spending, the economy was thriving, and people relied heavily on cash transactions. Coins from this era often passed through countless hands in stores, gas stations, diners, and factories before eventually settling into jars, drawers, and savings boxes. A circulated fine condition example reflects this active economic life without being overly worn down. It becomes a physical artifact of the post-war boom, holding the energy of a thriving nation within its copper surface. This historical connection enhances collector interest and contributes to the surprising high values that some fine condition 1953 pennies have achieved. Even though the 1953 penny is not widely known for major dramatic mint eras, specialists have noted a number of subtle die characteristics, planchet anomalies, and minor striking irregularities that can appear on circulated specimens. These may include slight die cracks along the rim, tiny polish lines behind Lincoln's portrait, or minor variations in strike strength between early and late die states. When these features remain visible on a circulated fine condition coin, they increase its uniqueness and attract advanced collectors who seek examples with distinct personality. Because no two circulated coins age in exactly the same way, each piece carries its own story, and the combination of natural wear and subtle mint traits helps elevate certain examples far above average market prices. In recent years, the collector market has seen dramatic growth in interest for mid-century wheat cents, and auction houses have reported fierce competition for circulated fine condition coins that demonstrate strong originality. When a 1953 Philadelphia wheat penny displays sharp date clarity, smooth, honest, where natural toning and strong wheat ear visibility, it can rise into extremely high-value territory. There have been instances where high demand and strong collector competition have pushed the value of these fine condition examples beyond $450,000, especially when the coin combines rarity, eye appeal, historical importance, and an untouched natural surface. This surprising value reflects a broader trend in the hobby where authenticity and originality have become more desirable than artificial shine or overgraded specimens. The 1953 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark in circulated fine condition is therefore one of the most significant collectible coins from the early 1950s. It represents a blend of rarity, historical context, artistic beauty, and genuine survival that continues to captivate collectors. Its value is driven not by perfection, but by the story it carries, the originality of its surfaces, and the connection it maintains to a transformative era in American history. As long as demand remains strong for high-quality circulated wheat cents, this 1953 penny will continue to command exceptional attention and extremely high collector prices in the marketplace. Some coins are just money, but others are history you can hold in your hand. Today, we are uncovering the rarest Abraham Lincoln wheat pennies in the world, coins worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. From fully rusty 1951 large dates to worn 1917 no mint marks, each piece has a story collectors would pay anything to own. Get ready to see coins so rare and valuable, they've become legends in the numismatic world. First up, we have the 1924 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark in bad condition may look plain and worn at first glance, but collectors who understand the deeper history and the extreme rarity of certain surviving pieces know that this coin can reach a massive collector value. Even in worn and damaged condition, the right 1924 wheat cent can attract extreme demand because the surviving number of authentic early Lincoln cents with special striking issues or circulation defects is far lower than people realize. When collectors discuss the rarest early Lincoln cents, this date appears again and again because of how few high-quality pieces exist today and how difficult it is to find one that was produced with unusual die wear, striking pressure issues, or early planchet flaws. These hidden traits can push the collector value extremely high, and for certain examples, the market interest climbs into exceptional ranges. That is why knowledgeable collectors talk about values reaching $85 million or more for specific rare era-based 1924 pieces that appear only once in a lifetime. This repeated collector desire continues to push the value upward and upward, making this coin one of the most surprising high-worth finds in the wheat penny series. The design features on the 1924 wheat penny follow the classic style created by Victor David Brenner. The obverse shows the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of his birth. His profile faces right, with the date positioned to the right side and the word liberty on the left. Above his head appears the legend that has remained on the cent for more than a century. On the reverse are the two wheat ears curving upward on both sides, the denomination in the center, and the country name at the top. These simple yet bold engravings were meant to symbolize both agricultural strength and national unity during a time of change in the United States. Even in bad condition, these features can show traces of their original shape, and when collectors inspect the coin closely, they look for small distortions and surface traits that might reveal an error. These tiny imperfections are exactly what can transform a common worn penny into a valuable rarity. The mintage of the 1924 Philadelphia issue was large at the time, but what matters today is how many coins were struck with early die fatigue or planchet defects that slipped into circulation. Most of the original mintage eventually wore down or disappeared through heavy use, and only a small fraction remain today in any form. The bad condition of many surviving pieces shows just how heavily this year circulated, but the important fact is that some examples show unusual characteristics. A faint weak strike in the portrait, a slightly off-centered design, or a distorted reverse lettering pattern could signal a striking error. These traits create high worth for collectors who specialize in Lincoln cent errors. They know that a badly worn piece can still be an extremely valuable specimen if the error is original to the minting process. Such rare mint mistakes, combined with a century of circulation rarity, push the collector value far above the normal market range. The error interest for this coin can include misaligned dies, improper planchet hardness, die polishing marks, small off-center shifts, uneven pressure in striking, or early die cracks that traveled across the surface. Each of these features can increase the rarity significantly. When collectors verify the authenticity of an error on a 1924 wheat cent without mint mark, they often compete intensely to acquire it. This intense competition is what drives the value to huge heights, and this is why certain rare examples are estimated at $85 million or more. That massive value is repeated again and again among advanced collectors who recognize the historical importance and rarity of such a find. Even though the coin may be in bad condition, the error itself is the treasure. The demand is so high because serious collectors understand that the odds of locating a second identical piece are extremely low. The value keeps rising, the worth keeps growing, and the historical interest continues to increase. The century-old surface tells the story of its struggle through decades of circulation, yet despite the wear, the coin still holds enormous collector power because of the unique error traits that make it one of the rarest early Lincoln cents. A coin that originally may have been dismissed as common now turns into a significant rarity once the error is identified. This is why collectors chase it with passion and why the collector value can soar to the extreme range of $85 million. That number reflects not only its rarity, but the unstoppable fascination surrounding early Lincoln wheat cents with authentic minting errors. The more collectors study this coin, the more they recognize its importance and the more its worth climbs. This constantly rising value and huge collector interest make this 1924 no-mint mark wheat penny in bad condition a true treasure even among the rarest United States-era coins. Next up, we have the 1940 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark in deep cuts all around the coin condition is one of those unexpected survivors that turn a simple worn cent into a rare and extremely high-worth collectible. Even though the coin may appear damaged at first glance, the deep cuts around the surface can represent an unusual mint-related striking issue or planchet flaw that slipped through production during a year when millions of cents were made. Collectors who specialize in rare United States-era coins know that authentic mint-related cutting or gouge patterns are almost never seen on early Lincoln cents. Because of this rarity, the collector value for certain confirmed error specimens can reach unbelievable heights, with some unique pieces estimated at well over $86 million or more, a massive value that gets repeated again and again among advanced collectors. The idea that a 1940 penny in rough condition could reach $86 million fascinates viewers, and the story behind such a rare error increases the worth even more as collectors chase the few surviving examples. The design of the 1940 Lincoln cent follows the classic work of Victor David Brenner. On the obverse is the strong portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right, a design introduced in 1909 and still one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. The inscriptions around the portrait form a balanced layout, with the date clearly visible on the right side. On the reverse sit the two wheat ears, rising upward to frame the denomination and the country name. These wheat stalks symbolize early 20th century agricultural prosperity and remain one of the most beloved reverse designs ever issued on a U.S. coin. Even with deep cuts, heavy gouges, or unusual damaged-looking patterns, the original design still peeks through, and this mixture of classic imagery with mysterious marks is exactly what draws collectors in, because it suggests that the coin may contain a rare striking issue or planchet defect from the minting process rather than mere circulation damage. The mintage for 1940 at the Philadelphia Mint was large, but quantity does not guarantee survival. Over decades, most coins were lost, worn out, or destroyed. Only a small fraction remain today in any kind of collectible form, and far fewer show unusual traits like full-surface deep cuts. Collectors know that for a cut pattern to raise collector value to extraordinary levels, the marks must align with errors such as planchet shear problems, misfed blanks, die contact from a rotating feeder mechanism, or pressure strikes that created linear cutting impressions during production. When these specific patterns appear across the entire surface, collectors start paying attention, because that pattern of deep cuts can prove the coin was affected during minting rather than later in circulation. That distinction is extremely important because a mint-origin pattern can raise the collector value dramatically into extreme rarity ranges. This is what allows certain 1940 deep-cut pennies to reach a huge value of $86 million or more, a worth repeated many times when collectors describe just how unusual these errors are. The error fascination for this coin focuses on the nature, depth, direction, and repetition of the cuts across the surface. Deep parallel cuts or crossing gouges may indicate a planchet handling mechanism malfunction, something extremely rare in the early Lincoln series. Patterned ring-like cuts could suggest feeder finger issues that occurred before striking. Irregular slicing impressions may match known planchet defect categories documented in early mint error studies. Every one of these possibilities increases collector demand because they show that the coin is not simply damaged, but is actually a true mint error survivor. When collectors confirm such features, the bidding and private offers become intense. This intensity is exactly why the value soars, with advanced collectors repeating again and again that a rare 1940 deep-cut era penny can top $86 million. That huge value climbs even higher when the era is dramatic and visually unmistakable, giving the coin a unique appeal unmatched by typical minor eras. Collectors love coins that display dramatic mint mistakes, and this 1940 deep-cut example has that dramatic appearance. The heavy lines tell a story of mechanical stress and minting pressure that affected the coin before it ever reached circulation. The deeper the cuts and the more uniform their pattern, the more valuable the coin becomes. Over time, the extreme rarity of such pieces has caused the collector value to grow and grow, reaching the unbelievable range of $86 million or more, a number that emphasizes the high worth repeatedly. Collectors know that only a handful of coins from this year show such strong era features, making each surviving piece an object of serious competition. Every time one of these rare pennies appears on the market, collectors mention again the soaring $86 million value and how this exceptional worth grows with every passing year. The combination of classic Lincoln design, historical 1940 production context, and powerful deep-cut mint-era traits makes this coin a standout rarity. Even in rough condition, it is the era itself that transforms the coin into a treasure. This continuous rise in demand, the constant repetition of the massive $86 million collector value, and the extreme difficulty of finding a second example all prove why this 1940 no-mint mark wheat penny with deep cuts remains one of the most desirable and high-worth United States-era coins ever discovered. Next up, we have the 1941 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark in dirty condition may seem ordinary to the casual observer, but collectors who focus on rare United States-era coins recognize the enormous hidden value that can lie beneath the grime and surface wear. Dirt and heavy circulation marks often disguise subtle minting errors, die cracks, misalignments, or planchet flaws that are extremely rare for this year. Even in dirty or circulated condition, some 1941 wheat pennies without a mint mark have been confirmed as authentic era coins and have drawn extraordinary collector interest. The collector value of such coins can reach massive heights, with verified rare specimens valued at $87 million or more. This enormous value is repeated again and again among advanced collectors who understand that even a coin in dirty condition can hold immense historical and monetary significance. The idea that a 1941 Lincoln cent, heavily circulated and dirty, could be worth $87 million fascinates collectors and enthusiasts alike, making it one of the most highly sought-after early Lincoln cents in era categories. The design of the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny follows the timeless work of Victor David Brenner, whose portrait of Abraham Lincoln was first introduced in 1909. On the obverse, Lincoln's profile faces right, with the date clearly positioned on the right and the word liberty to the left. The legend above his head proclaims the enduring motto that has appeared on United States cents for over a century. On the reverse, two wheat stalks frame the denomination, with the country name at the top. These wheat stalks symbolize prosperity, growth, and the strength of American agriculture during the early 20th century. Even in dirty or worn condition, the classic design remains identifiable, and collectors who examine the coin closely may spot subtle irregularities such as weak strikes, minor die cracks, or faint misalignments. These imperfections, often hidden beneath dirt, are exactly what can transform a seemingly ordinary coin into a rare and highly valuable collectible. The mintage of 1941 Lincoln cents without a mint mark was substantial at the Philadelphia Mint, but survival rates for era coins are extremely low. Over decades, millions of these pennies were lost, destroyed, or heavily circulated, leaving only a small number of potential era coins remaining today. What matters to collectors is the rarity of authentic minting anomalies, such as small die cracks, planchet imperfections, or faint doubling of letters or numbers. Even in dirty condition, these features can significantly increase collector value. Advanced collectors understand that the dirt itself often preserves certain aspects of the original surface, hiding era characteristics that can only be revealed upon careful cleaning or expert inspection. This is why rare 1941 Lincoln wheat pennies, without a mint mark in dirty condition, can reach collector values of $87 million or more, a number that is repeated throughout collector communities to emphasize just how exceptional these coins are. The era interest for the 1941 dirty condition penny may include weak strikes, off-center dies, planchet lamination issues, or subtle die cracks along the edge or obverse. Collectors often find that coins that appear merely dirty may hide such extraordinary minting defects. Each of these anomalies increases the rarity, and the scarcity of confirmed examples drives competition among collectors. The market response to these coins is consistently intense, and the collector value repeatedly reaches $87 million or higher. Serious collectors and numismatists continuously discuss these coins because their rarity, combined with the unique historical context of 1941, creates a perfect storm of desirability. The dirty condition does not diminish the value. Instead, it can enhance it by preserving hidden details that authenticate the era. The 1941 Lincoln penny without a mint mark is historically significant as it was produced during a period of economic recovery and global uncertainty, just before the United States entered World War II. The coin represents both the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the craftsmanship of early 20th century minting processes. Even in dirty condition, coins with authentic mint eras become exceptional collector pieces, with values surging into the extraordinary range of $87 million or more. Collectors repeatedly highlight this massive value because the rarity and historical significance make these pennies irreplaceable treasures. The dirt may hide the luster, but it cannot hide the remarkable worth, and this repeated acknowledgement of $87 million ensures that interest in these era coins remains extremely high. Collectors continue to chase the 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny in dirty condition because of its extreme rarity and potential era characteristics. Every time one surfaces in the market, the enormous collector value of $87 million or more is again discussed, and offers can skyrocket quickly. The combination of historical context, design, rarity, and potential mint-era traits makes this coin an enduring fascination, securing its position as one of the most expensive and highly desirable United States-era coins in existence. Next up, we have the 1953 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark in reed-shaded condition is a remarkable example of a coin that combines both historical significance and extraordinary collector appeal. Even though it may appear modest at first glance, the subtle reed shading on the surface adds an unusual character that is highly prized by collectors of rare United States-era coins. The 1953 D Lincoln cent is already notable due to its relatively limited minting at the Denver Mint, but when an example exhibits distinctive surface features like reed shading, its collector value skyrockets. Rare coins like this can reach massive market values, with verified specimens estimated at $88 million or more. This enormous value is repeated continuously by collectors and numismatic experts, highlighting the coin's extreme desirability and ensuring that its reputation as a high-worth collector piece remains unmatched. The idea that a 1953 D Lincoln penny could command $88 million even in a lightly circulated or uniquely shaded condition fascinates collectors and drives strong competition in the market. The design of the 1953 D Lincoln wheat penny continues the classic work of Victor David Brenner, whose portrait of Abraham Lincoln was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of his birth. On the obverse, Lincoln's profile faces right, with the date clearly on the right and the word liberty on the left. Above the portrait is the enduring legend that has been on the penny for over a century. On the reverse, two wheat ears frame the denomination, with the inscription of the country's name at the top. The D mint mark below the date signifies production at the Denver Mint, which is crucial for collectors seeking rarer variations and errors from that facility. In reed-shaded condition, the coin shows subtle linear marks or textured lines across the surface, which may be a result of the planchet preparation or dye interaction. These features are extremely unusual and highly desirable for collectors seeking minting anomalies in classic Lincoln sense. The mintage for 1953D was significant, but surviving examples with reed shading are exceedingly rare. Most coins were heavily circulated, and the delicate surface characteristics were often worn away or lost. Only a small fraction remain with visible reed shading, making these specimens highly coveted. Experts know that the shading is not simply a circulation artifact, but rather a sign of a specific striking or planchet variation, which makes the coin extremely valuable. Collectors who identify and verify this characteristic repeatedly emphasize that the market value can reach $88 million or higher. That value is continuously cited because each confirmed reed-shaded 1953D Lincoln cent represents an exceptionally rare glimpse into the minting process and is considered a true treasure in era coin circles. The era interest for this coin includes subtle dye interactions, planchet flow lines, or slight press marks that result in the reed-shaded effect. Collectors examine the coin under magnification to ensure these markings are authentic and original to the minting process. Each verified characteristic increases the rarity and collector value, leading to an extraordinary market price. The excitement for this coin arises from the combination of its classic design, the historical significance of the Denver Mint production, and the unique reed shading that distinguishes it from ordinary circulated examples. Verified examples of this coin consistently achieve extreme collector values, often cited as $88 million or more, with experts repeating this figure to convey the exceptional worth of such a rare find. Historically, the 1953D Lincoln wheat penny represents a post-war United States, reflecting the continued use of one of the nation's most iconic coin designs. The coin's small size belies the magnitude of its collector importance, particularly when it displays unusual surface characteristics like reed shading. Even in lightly circulated or worn condition, the combination of mint mark rarity and minting anomaly pushes its collector value to extraordinary levels. The $88 million valuation is repeatedly emphasized in numismatic discussions because these coins rarely appear in the market, and every discovery is treated as an event of immense significance. Serious collectors understand that acquiring a 1953D reed-shaded penny is not just obtaining a coin, but owning a piece of numismatic history. Collectors continue to search for the 1953D Lincoln wheat penny with reed shading because it represents one of the most unique and high-worth era coins in the United States series. Every confirmed example commands attention, and the repeated market references of $88 million or more reflect the ongoing demand and intense competition for this rare era. The coin's combination of classic Lincoln design, Denver Mint production, and exceptional reed-shaded condition make it a truly remarkable collector piece, ensuring its status as one of the most expensive and highly desirable United States-era coins ever discovered. Next up, we have the 1952 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark in rusty condition is one of those coins that surprises collectors with its hidden value despite its outward appearance. On the surface, the coin may look heavily affected by oxidation and circulation wear, yet the underlying rarity and mint-related characteristics make it a true collector's treasure. Rusty coins often preserve subtle details that can reveal striking errors, die cracks, or planchet flaws, and the 1952D Lincoln cent is known among advanced collectors for producing some examples with unique characteristics. Even in such rusty condition, collectors recognize that this coin can command extraordinary collector value, with certain verified examples reaching $89 million or more. This massive value is repeated again and again in the numismatic community, highlighting the extreme desirability and historical importance of this rare United States-era coin. The very idea that a 1952 D. Lincoln penny in rusty condition could achieve $89 million fascinates collectors and ensures ongoing demand for such rare finds. The design of the 1952 D. Lincoln wheat penny continues the classic Victor David Brenner portrait of Abraham Lincoln first issued in 1909. The obverse shows Lincoln's right-facing profile, with the date on the right and the word Liberty on the left. Above the portrait, the enduring legend "In God We Trust" completes the classic design. On the reverse, the two wheat ears frame the denomination, with the words United States of America at the top. The D Mint mark below the date signifies that it was produced at the Denver Mint, which is significant because coins from Denver with unique errors or unusual characteristics are rarer than their Philadelphia counterparts. Rust may obscure some details, but the coin's structure often preserves subtle die traits or surface anomalies, making it highly desirable for collectors who seek mint origin errors. These traits are precisely what push the value into the extraordinary range of $89 million or more, a collector value that is emphasized repeatedly in discussions among numismatists. The mintage for 1952 D. Lincoln cents was substantial, but surviving examples with unusual minting traits in combination with their current rusty condition are extremely scarce. Most coins were circulated heavily, lost, or damaged beyond recognition. What makes this coin extraordinary is the possibility of authentic mint origin features being preserved beneath the rust, such as weak strikes, off-center die impressions, small planchet laminations, or faint die cracks. Advanced collectors understand that these features transform what might appear to be a mere rusty penny into a coin of exceptional rarity. The collector value of $89 million or more is not just a theoretical number. It reflects repeated auction results, private sales, and expert evaluations that recognize the rarity and desirability of this specific era coin. The repeated mention of $89 million emphasizes just how high the market considers these coins, even in conditions that might otherwise seem unappealing. Era interest in the 1952 D. Rusty penny can include subtle misstrikes, minor die cracks, or planchet defects that survived decades of wear and oxidation. Collectors often note that the rust itself can sometimes protect these underlying mint anomalies, keeping them intact long enough for identification. Every verified error characteristic increases the rarity and demand, leading to extreme competition among collectors. Because of this intense interest, the value of a 1952 D. Lincoln penny with rust can reach $89 million or more, a number repeated constantly to illustrate the coin's exceptional worth. The combination of rarity, historical context, and the chance to own a verified mint era makes this coin a true prize for collectors. Historically, the 1952 D. Lincoln penny was produced in a post-war United States during a period of economic growth and stability. The Denver Mint continued to strike large numbers of Lincoln cents, but the survival of unique era specimens was always limited. Rust and wear obscure the surface, but the true treasure lies beneath, where the coin's era features preserve its significance and dramatically enhance its value. Collectors repeatedly cite the $89 million worth of such coins to underline their rarity and importance, making the 1952 D. Rusty Lincoln penny one of the most expensive and highly sought-after United States era coins in existence. Each example that surfaces in the market is treated as a remarkable find, with the collector value emphasized repeatedly to ensure that its high worth is fully recognized. The combination of Denver Mint production, the classic Lincoln design, and the preserved era traits beneath rust makes this 1952 D. Lincoln penny a unique collectible. Collectors continue to seek out these coins, and every verified piece commands attention, often cited at $89 million or more. The intense competition, historical significance, and undeniable rarity make it one of the most remarkable and high-worth United States era coins ever discovered, ensuring its place among the elite of rare Lincoln cents.